This is Kobe with the Phoenix Hip Hop Podcast, and I have with me Dr. LaFlow. How are you
Yes.
doing?
Good. How about you?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Yes.
I've seen you multiple times now. The first time I met you was during the Rarefied Air interview, right?
Free, you fucking with the best if you fucking with me. I'm with Docs and Salute, bad news come in threes. They tried to find my flaws, but there was nothing to see. The first
Right, with Salute, Unorthodox. I'm gonna fuck up his name because I don't know if it's Arnan or Armit.
Arnhem.
Arnhem.
Yeah,
Okay,
His
Arnhem.
other
We were
producer.
just talking about how to pronounce people's names, and I'm always like anxious. I'm gonna fuck it up. And then yourself, and I also saw you recently at is it called Candy and Records?
Yeah, Candy and Records. Yeah,
Okay.
record store. It's off of like Central and Hatcher or something like that.
Shout out Candy and Records. I always really respect like independent places
Yeah.
that are open to a variety of types of music, because when I went there, their hip hop section was tiny, right?
Yes.
And no disrespect, but I guess my point is that even though it's a place that's not necessarily tailored towards hip hop, they're open to having someone
Yeah,
like you there.
It was great. I literally just I just messaged them on IG and I was like, "Hey, I know Record Store Day's coming up. I'm just looking for a record store to play it at." And they were like, "Yeah, we're doing the whole thing." They had like a guy grilling tacos and they had bands like they were doing the whole thing. So like, nah, just come on down and so I went to the shop like maybe a day or two before and just to go introduce myself, talk, and the owners were really cool and we were in there just chopping up. The guy did like some chiropractic stuff on dude that came in, like it was awesome. And then when I came to the store, I was surprised at the variety of the bands and stuff that they had there. And they'll do different like events and stuff. Like they had like a listening party the other day for I think it was 21 Pilots. And I was like, oh, okay, you guys do a little bit of everything. But nah, they were really just open. Even that day when you came into the store, they were like, yeah, you can just come on down here anytime and just set up and play it. That's perfect. I love that because record stores are like that's like a perfect place for that. I love just being in there, just hanging out. Like it's a cool place to hang out and just play music, especially if they just let you do whatever. They just let me cook. It's like, all right. I like that.
It was really cool, yeah. So this is a good segue. You were there to play a specific album.
Yes.
And tell me about that album.
My new album, Portrait of a Mind on Fire, came out May 3rd. It's on all the streaming platforms, Bandcamp, all that good stuff. So yes, I'm glad you got to hear that live and in person. So
it was really cool. As I mentioned, I first met you from the interview with Unorthodox and Salute, and so you had been producing for them. You are originally from my home state, Florida.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you a few questions. First, I'm going to ask you about your relationship with Unorthodox and Salute. But as someone that has recently relocated to the Phoenix area, and we were talking before the interview, I said, hey, I know folks like Unorthodox have their ideas and opinions about the scene, and I'm sure they share them with you. Pretend you have heard nothing from them. Tell me how the Phoenix hip hop scene looks to you.
To me, it looks like it's the creatives are there. Like the producers are here. You got people that rap that's here. You got their venues and stuff that are here. But to me, it seems like it's just not together. Like it's very. It's out. If you're looking for it, you'll find it. Like it's there for sure. But you're not just gonna happen upon it. It's not something like I feel like I wouldn't if I don't go out and like look for shows, look for artists, like look for producers, that kind of thing. I'm not just gonna be like out at the bar and like just kind of see like a local rap actor. There's no place like that where I would kind of go to expect that kind of thing. Like I don't know. I can't. Oh, it just like cut out the. Oh, it's headphones.
Yeah,
okay,
it's
it's recording. My bad.
Yeah, it's a little touchy.
No, you good. Because like there's a bar I went to. I guess it's kind of like a chain thing. I don't know, Copper Blues, but like they have like cover bands and like country western singers and stuff there. Like they're just there. You just go hang out. Boom, there's a live act there. Like that, all right, I can expect that when but I haven't seen like a place like that for hip hop where it's like, okay, I know if I just pull up here on a Friday night just to hang out, I'm gonna hear like a dope new artist or like something like that, like kind of have that that vibe to it. But I know there are events out there. Like there's people trying to make that happen. So to me, I feel like it's just very, it's just new. That's what it feels like. It's just very new. Not in the sense like, oh, we've never heard of rap music before, like any of that. Like it's obviously it's out here. Like, you know, we're talking about that store Trill. I mean, you know, that's
shout out Trill.
Yeah, shout out Trill.
It literally is a one of a kind place.
I've never seen any store like that before.
They had a fifth year anniversary show, and I had the opportunity to basically just go around and interview folks there, like, hey, like, you know, what do you think of Trill? And I asked this question, like, is there any other place you've seen like this? And these are people that have been like in the hip hop game for like 20 plus years. Every single person said no. They said there used to be Fat Beats, but even Fat Beats in New York was not exactly like this.
And that's what's so crazy about it. I see a place like that, and I'm like, how do you have no, like, you know, it's like that should be like, you know, like the mecca of the hip hop scene, you know, in a way. But also what I had said, like, I've beginning to realize is just how spread out everything is, and that really makes a big difference because, you know, you might think. You know, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is all Phoenix. Like, you know, all this stuff is going on in Phoenix. But then you realize, no, not necessarily. Like, you might have something going on like 30 minutes this way and then 45 minutes east. There's like a whole other, you know, it's a whole other part of town. So, you know, that's going to make it difficult for it to really have like one kind of centralized location or even just a scene. You know, that's kind of what a scene is. It's like, oh, I know if I go to this part of, you know, my town, my city, whatever, this is like where all the hip hop kids are. Like, this is where, like, you know, the house people hang out. This is like kind of the country part of town, you know. But if you just have it little pockets here, there, and everywhere, you might have like your very, very local scene. But, you know, it's gonna take time, I think, is really what it is. Yeah. It's gonna take time for it to grow, and you're also gonna have to have that larger commercial aspect involved in it. Because I think that's where an independent scene kind of springs out, you know. It's kind of like after the big money comes in, then everybody, you know, okay, you know, you can have people kind of at the sides and like, all right, well, we can do our little thing over here, and everyone's looking for the next big thing. So that's where you find it. But
yeah,
you got to have that first big thing, you know, I think.
And some of what you're saying is what like my goal is with the sort of page, you know, I've been running, is to have like a single place to go to see all the different things.
Exactly.
And 80% of it, I'll say, is stuff I really like. And 20% of it, it's not that I don't like it, but I am really trying to cover everything going on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you have interacted with the page and reacted to folks that are not in your circle. And I appreciate that because some artists, they only like their, you know, react to their friends' stuff or whatever. Yeah. It's a bummer. I'm still going to share them because I just share people that I appreciate or, you know, I enjoy their music. That said, I have never asked anyone for feedback, but like, can you give me some feedback on the page as far as like what it looks like to you? Because I have my own ideas, but I don't know how those are being perceived.
I mean, I think I like that you actually ask like the artist like in-depth questions. Like you like it's not just the typical like, okay, who are you? Like, what's your album? Like, what's it? You know, you actually want to ask them about not just their music, but also like their opinions on the scene. Like, what do you know? Because I mean, we're all part of it, you know, we're all artists, we're all trying to make it. So it's kind of like if we are all saying, oh, we need more venues. And if, you know, you have 10 artists saying that, then that's going to be good because someone's going to hear and be like, hey, you know what? I should maybe do a hip hop venue. It seems like that's something people want. So, you know, I think you should definitely keep doing that. Like, obviously, you got to focus on the music. I mean, it's about art. But I think it's also important to also get the cultural aspect of it, you know, in the sense of like, all right, well, where do you see the scene going? Like, what do us as artists want from, you know, maybe other venues, from like record companies or something? You know, what are we looking for? And then also, you know, you also kind of have to figure out, all right, what do audiences want? You know, do they want more live shows? Do they just want more like a party type? You know, are people looking for more like clubs and stuff? Like they want more like that underground gritty vibe, or do they just want like big commercial acts, you know, coming through? Like, you know, kind of you have to get like a pulse of like what is the city about, because you have some places like, you know, like all right, New York and LA, they're known for like they're like huge music venues, you know, like that's where all the major artists and stuff are gonna go. But then, you know, you might have places like, you know, outside of that they more focus on like the more independent scene, you know, say like up in Seattle, for example. I forget what's that record label, Sub Pop, like, you know, things like that. Like they're focused more on like indie acts. So it's like, if you know, oh, I want to be more of an independent artist, let me go push my efforts in this market as opposed to this one. So, you know, I think it's good as artists to know kind of like, all right, where are we in the whole mix of things, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you one more scene question, then we're gonna get into more about your recent album, and I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
Is there any one artist that is outside of the folks you work with that you have come to appreciate, or just saw and like, wow, you know, I think they're dope?
I would say the Halal Boys. I mean,
Okay.
Off the strength of the hustle, the muscle is built. Finding it hard to love on myself.
Unorthodox, he put me onto them, and like, I've listened to music, I've met them in person and stuff, and I'm like, all right, like, you know, they're artists I definitely want to work with. But even just going like, you know, just like even shows that I've been a part of and things like that, like seeing rappers go on stage, do their thing, they're not rapping over vocals or anything like that, like, you can see the passion there, and that's what I like. Like, it's cool to see somebody just go up and just rap their heart out. Like, they're not really doing it for, you know, they're not getting a check from it. It's not like there's a huge crowd out there for them. It's like, you can tell, all right, you're here because this is what you do. Like, and I think that's where, like, you get the best music from.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love seeing that in live acts. So I want to get out more now, and like, you know, when you can start to recognize people, like, okay, I've seen you here, I've seen you here, I've seen you there, you know, like you're someone I can work with, you know, I see that you have a drive for this.
Yeah. I mean, in the rapping over the vocals, I've had like this conversation with a few people. It's a bummer sometimes because I've even noticed, and like, some are very talented rappers because I've seen them do the same song multiple times live at different places, and they almost like integrate it into their performance, like, because I would see it, originally I saw it as a crutch, but now I see it like they'll say a line and then they'll like let the backing track in the line. And I see them do it at the same time, at this, you know, same part of the song, multiple performances. And for me, as someone that's like someone that appreciates the technical part, I'm like I'm trying to capture cool footage, and I'm looking at like someone's breath control. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a talent,
Yeah.
right? Someone's ability to deliver something and, you know, not have to take a breath or whatever. And it's just like, oh, that now I don't really want to share that clip. It doesn't look as cool.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And I think that's just, to me, that's just a part of you. That's just part of, you know, your skill as a performer. Like, you know, can you rap your track without? And I can understand having a show mix or something. You know, if you're like a hook and, you know, you want like just like a backing vocal for the hook or whatever, so it sounds good. Like,
Yeah.
I get a show mix. I can understand that. But like, if it's like straight vocals, then it's like, all right, you're doing your thing, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be impressed by it personally. But, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I think that's just part of just being a good performer. Like, you know, you gotta practice. Like, I remember back home when I was putting on a show, and this one producer, it was like a beat show. This one producer that came in, he did his set, and you know, me and my friend, we were like, yo, like, that was really good. Like, that was awesome what you did. Like, you know, he, like, the way he mixed his beats and his tracks and everything, and he was like, oh yeah, thanks. And he's like, yeah, I've been practicing like crazy just for this one show. And yeah, I was like, that's what you got to do. Like, it shows. Even if someone's only seen you that one time, and obviously they don't know the work that you might have put into it.
Yeah.
But it's like, when you make it look easy, it's probably because you put in hard work.
Exactly.
You know? And that's like, you know, so if I see someone on stage, they're just spitting verses and, you know, just rapping the songs like over the straight beat, I'm like, okay, I can see that this isn't like the first time you've done this, you know?
Yeah.
You definitely put some work in, and it makes a better show. And I think people notice that, even if they don't maybe know why, or, you know, it's not something they're conscious of.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've been to a show where, you know, the dude just kind of sit on stage and just kind of rap, and it's like, all right, you know, you could move around a bit or do something, but
Yeah.
And I think that's just a performance thing. Like, there are some artists who they're great performers. Like,
Yeah.
they put on a show. And
I've even some that are great performers and they can't really rap that, but I'm like,
Yeah, you're
hey
like,
man, like the way you hold the mic and like the aggression, like, actually I won't listen. I don't really like your music, but I actually like this performance.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. And that's what I came to see. That's what I paid my money for my
Yeah.
ticket for. Like, if I wanted to hear your music, I could do that at home. You know, I want to see a show.
Yeah.
You know? I want to see something, you know, like, maybe go, oh shit, like, you see when he did that, you know?
100%. All right, so let's get back into. I mentioned I went to the listening session.
Yes, yes.
Tell me, how many albums you have? How many albums do you have out now? 3 or 4 instrumental albums. I mean.
No, there's more than that. It's over 30 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Okay.
It's that one though. I've probably in the last maybe 3-4 years. I mean, yeah, this is probably like the third one I've done in like as many years. Like for when I first started, I mean, I was just putting out beats. Like, I was just making beats, just putting them out on projects, and then, eventually it was like, okay, well, I can do that. Like, I started wanting to get more out of it. So then, I did some rapping a bit. Like there was some where I was like, I'll rap on my own beats. And then, I did a project where I reached out to a bunch of different rappers that I knew and, made that into one thing. And then, I don't know, I kind of started getting into this phase where I was like, let me, I kind of wanted to make almost like a story with the albums. Like,
yeah, well, that's what I was getting at. I wanted to ask you, how is this album different from the other projects you've done?
I would say I think this is probably the first one I've done in a little minute that came out 100% how I wanted it to.
Okay.
Like I like my last album, Chrome Crystals. What was the one before that?
Never Rains in Outer Space.
Yeah, there was a Never Rains in Outer Space. There was another one. I forget the name of it. Let's make too many. But like those, I feel like the two I did before this one were kind of like me, I don't know, experimenting with this idea of just like, I guess almost making like all right, maybe not an audiobook, but like an audio scrapbook in a sense. Like it was just different, like movie clips, just stuff I had read. Like, I recorded my voice on like, a cassette and just played that back. Like it was a bunch of that and just kind of putting it all together into one, just kind of like one, almost like like a scrapbook. That would be the best way to describe it. And, the two I'd done before that, it's kind of like I know I had the idea and like what I was kind of going for. And, just making it and, kind of thinking of different things, getting different ideas together and all that. But I feel like this one came out like 100% how I wanted it to. It wasn't like, oh man, I wish I could have done it this way. Or, it's not even so much that like I didn't like what I did before, but it's just like, I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's like the way it sounded in my head. That's how it came out. Like there's nothing I wanted to change about it. There's nothing I wanted to do, but I didn't get a chance to do or, anything like that. So that, to me, that's like the biggest difference, with that one compared to the ones I've done in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking at the record store. So like, I like instrumental albums for background music because I freaking love rap so much. When I'm trying to do something like work or whatever, I'm distracted by, something like I really like. I'm like, oh, fuck, that was so good. Like, I got to rewind that. And an instrumental album is, it doesn't have that challenge. I used to buy RJD2. Do you know RJD2?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And, he just has really cool-ass instrumental albums. And so, I'll listen to them like that. That's what I want to ask you. Sometimes he would release an instrumental album. It would be maybe like 15 tracks. And he would have maybe 2 tracks with like a rapper on it. Do you ever do that, or have you ever considered that?
Yeah, because like I'll work with Doc, Salute. Like I do like to have that because there's some times where I'm like even when I'm putting my albums together, I'm like, yo, it's too much instrumentals. Like I like hearing people like rap, because that's why I started doing like remix projects and stuff, because I wanted to hear. It's I guess because I make beats, it's hard for me to just listen to straight beats. Like, I listen to my shit, but and I like other, I have my other instrumental artists that like, kind of my influences, and like I listen to it, but it gets to a point where I'm like, I need, like, even the stuff I sample, now I more prefer to sample things that have like vocals in them, like soul songs, even jazz, just rock, whatever, because I just like hearing, I feel like that's, that's part of it. Like, it's like you have something to say, like, and that's kind of what made me start making music the way I did, adding clips and sound things and all that, because it's like, all right, I can only say so much with just a beat. Like a dope beat is a dope beat. You need that. But to me, it doesn't. It might make you feel something, but it doesn't like, literally speak to me.
Yeah.
So it's like I like putting that in there. So you know, I do like it's hard for me now to just make a album where it's like this is gonna be nothing but beats. Like
Yeah.
if I didn't throw like the sound clips and stuff in there, then you know it's like yo, I gotta get like a rapper on a couple tracks or something like that. Like I need something, you know, something on there.
From Crystals was just what he described. That was all
Yeah,
the stuff.
yeah.
And track with Salute, track with me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were the only two rappers on there. Because it was like, all right, I need like a little break with that, you know,
Just
like.
Salute, then I heard that Crystallized Thoughts beat. And I was
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I sent it to them. I was like, yo, like I need some, you know, I want y'all on this. Like I need some vocals.
Beats are so I jotted down just for my own like understanding of myself, like how I listen to music, like rap, and I was like, okay, like how do I listen to it? And it was like, well, I listen to like the complexity of the rhyme, you know, the rhyme patterns. Like I listen to the delivery, and I know exactly why I like what I like. But then I got to the instrumental, like I was like, why do I like certain instrumentals? And I don't know.
Yeah.
And there are certain instrumentals like I literally feel like emotions from it, but I don't know how to describe like what I like. And so as a producer, I want to ask you, do you know like what you like and like how would you describe, even as a fan, not necessarily like with your own work, but just in general?
For me, it's like I guess it's like there's some. It's like almost like certain melodies, kind of like I feel like it's a combination of like if you have the right melody and the right tempo, that it just hits. Like it clicks right away. Because like all my work is all sample based. So when I'm listening to songs to sample, like for me, that's how like that's what when I hear something, I'm like, oh, okay, like I can flip that. It's like it's just that perfect. It's almost like. It's about for me. It's about timing. Like you listen to some songs, especially instrumentals, and you know, just even any genre of music. And when you're listening to like the actual music itself, even if it's like a singer or something, like the backing track or whatever. To me, it's like there's a certain songs have a certain timing where all the notes, all the drums, all the little things, they just seem to like just all hit at the right time. It's like almost like an engine going. It's just like, oh, okay, you kind of feel that groove and. I think that's when, you know, when things hit you. Either that or if there's some, I don't know, some kind of like, well, I guess I get it more with like movie soundtracks. Like if I hear a movie soundtrack for something like a movie I really like, and it's like if I can see the scene like playing in my head like as I'm listening to it, then I'm like, oh, this shit's like, that's perfect, you know? So I think anything that can that kind of gives me that like that engine feeling, I'm like, oh, okay, this song's clicking. Either that, or if I can just get some wild image in my head, or it's like something that feels like that's when I know, oh, this shit's like that's good.
Same for me. I mean, there's some instrumentals, but I don't know what it is in the instrumental. I'm like, wow, I'm thinking about my childhood, or like, wow, I'm thinking about this specific person, but I don't know what it is. Like I can say I like jazzy, like I like a Tribe Called Quest production from the '90s, like but other than like random things like that, you know, I don't really know. So that's why I just like it was, you know, I just want to ask you that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about music. Like sometimes it just hits you, and you don't really know what it is about it specifically.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something instrumental. It's not like like certain lyrics. You know, oh, okay, that's what makes me think of this. But yeah, like that's the cool thing about just making beats. Like sometimes you just you hear something, and it's you put like the stank face on. You just don't know why, but it's like, oh, that shit's hard.
The last time you were here, you rapped, which was really cool, and I never really asked you. Was that like a one-off, or do you actually rap sometimes?
I rap sometimes. It's more like if like sometimes I'll get like random like rap lines in my head, like if I'm just listening to other songs or whatever, and I'm kind of like, oh, like I'll write that down, and then you know after like a month or two, if I have enough, like then it's something I kind of do as a. It's more like, all right, if I feel like doing this sort of thing, like, or if I have it, like Portrait of Mine on Fire, there was one, I was like, all right, I want to just rap on one song. So, you know, I just kind of waited, just kind of did that process till I had all the bars for it. And I was like, all right, that's it. But I wouldn't really consider myself a rapper per se, because like if you know, like, hey man, I got this beat, like I need a 16, I'd be like, I might need like 16 weeks to write this thing. Like, you know, it's just if I think about it, I might, you know, put more effort into like, all right, let me come up with bars and stuff like that. But like it's very hard for me. I can't just like sit down and just like write a 16. But you know, it's just I just need you know, even if I force myself to think about it, like it just feels forced. I can't. You know, it's not the same as when I just might think of, oh shit, like that's a dope rap. Let me just jot that down, and you know, I just stack up enough of those and just make it into a song.
Arnhem, is that joint you're gonna have on Arnhem's album, is that your first time putting raps out on someone else's beat?
Uh,
I've only heard you rap on your own beat.
yeah, that is actually.
You're your own rapper.
Yeah, exactly.
Arnhem's the first one to get a LaFlow feature. Like
Yup.
He rapped on our album.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. That's the first time.
This is a good. Yeah, I wanted to ask you this. So that's a good segue. So a lot of times when rappers rap on their own beats, as a fan, like I almost think like they're sort of biased.
Yeah.
Because like Eminem is a perfect example. His beats are, to me personally, they're just terrible. And I don't keep up with like his latest production. I just remember when he was like, the early 2000s stuff. I'm like, how is he such a great rapper, but like he thinks these beats sound good, right?
Yeah.
And there are exceptions. There's a guy out here, Phoenix 98.
You ain't that man, fuck your gram, fuck your girl in the strangest land.
He's great on his own beats. I want to ask you though, that's just an idea I have. Like, is there anything to that? Have you ever thought about that, or being biased, basically? Like, hey, this beat's dope when they're a good rapper.
I think. Well, I don't know. I guess if you have an ear, I think it could make you have some kind of a bias if you as a rapper made because I mean you're not gonna be like, yo, I'm a dope rapper, I just made this whack beat, but I'm gonna like still spit on it. Like, you kind of, I guess it's almost like, I feel like if I worked with like a ton of rappers, because I haven't worked with like that many, but I feel like if I worked with like a ton of rappers, like if that's kind of how my music career went, like not so much instrumental path, it was more just like a studio producer, and then I turn around and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna rap too now. And then it's like you have a lot of competition for like your own beats in a sense, like what like I guess your past work, because it kind of like what you're saying, like all right, Eminem, Dr. Dre was one of his producers, like one of the best, so I feel like it's gonna be kind of hard for you as a rapper to be rapping over Dre beats and being like, all right, well I just made this shit right here, so it's gonna be just as good. Like probably not, like, and I guess I can definitely, I think every artist has a bias just in their own work. I feel like if you made something and you think it's trash, then you shouldn't put it out. Like you as an artist, like, I know other people have their opinions and stuff like that, but I think you have to be your own, like, you have to be like your first creative judge in a sense.
I got you.
So, I was like, I can understand the bias, but I definitely, I see it. And even sometimes, even me as just like a fan, like it's kind of like, like when I heard like Hit Boy was doing a rap album, and I'm like, yo, Hit Boy makes dope beats, and I was like, but the raps were like, like they're kind of like mediocre, but it's like, yo, I mean, I can't fault him for wanting to rap over his own beats, like, shit, like why not? But at the same time, it's like he's also gotta, I feel like you also gotta be aware of like, yeah, kind of what you're going up against with your past work. Like,
yeah,
you've worked with some great rappers. So, I say go for it. I would never tell an artist like not to create something that they want to create, but you definitely have to, I guess maybe like be realistic about your skill level. And I think that's what it is.
I got you. You mentioned Dr. Dre, and I always think it's interesting. Like, I'm a weirdo that likes to read comments about people arguing about hip hop.
Yeah.
And I always see the argument like, Dr. Dre doesn't make his own beats or this or that or whatever. Or Dr. Dre gets, Jay-Z ghost wrote, his thing.
Yeah.
And I always saw Dr. Dre as similar to a movie director. Like, a movie director doesn't write necessarily the script. A movie director can't necessarily act, but if certain directors, like Quentin Tarantino, he does write his own stuff, but they have this vision where it's like you could have all of the same elements but a different director and it would not come out the same. That's why I respect folks like Dr. Dre, because it's like even if he doesn't make or write his own stuff or whatever, like he just has this ability to sort of arrange things in a really interesting way. So all that is a big setup to ask you, what does it mean to be a producer exactly?
Oh, see, and that's a very interesting question because that's something I've like talked just to people about. And what I think the meaning of it has definitely changed in like this kind of modern like hip hop era. Because all right, nowadays if someone tells you they're a producer, it's more it's like I make the beat, like that's what I do. I make beats, someone raps, whatever. And that's kind of the general sense of it now. But the original like definition of a music producer was, like you said, it was almost like the director. Like, he would be the guy that would, all right, he'd get the singer, tell the singer, all right, we're going to make this song. I'm going to get this band together. He'd find the bass player, the guitar player, the drummer. He'd work with them to come up with the sound of the song, And then you go, all right, now I'm going to go get this singer. I'm going to pair them with this songwriter, and we're going to make this whole thing together. And I think the reason that the definitions kind of change is because a lot of those elements are squashed into like a laptop now, and it's like one person behind a keyboard in a sense. So, you don't necessarily need like a 5-piece band and, a singer and a songwriter. You just need your boy with his beats on a laptop, and you got like a mic and a USB cord, and you just hook it all up together. So, I think that's where it's changed. But when you're working on a level with someone like Dr. Dre, who's really making music at like past that, one microphone on a laptop level, that's when I think the more traditional role of a producer comes into play again. Because if Dr. Dre decides, all right, I'm gonna make this beat, comes with a melody, but he's like, I want a 5-piece band to replay it and all that. Yeah, sure, he might not literally be making the beat, but he's the one that's putting it all together and and producing the song. It's similar to like a movie producer.
Right, exactly.
Director's in charge of everything in front of the camera. The producer is in charge of everything that happens like behind the camera, making sure all the cameras are there, all the sound equipment is in place, the location is roped off and all that. So it's not just the literally making the beat,
Yeah.
But we look at that like that nowadays because it is kind of like that nowadays. But yeah, I feel like once you start making music at a different level, it goes back to that traditional role.
And I feel like people either don't think about it or it goes over their heads. This is gonna be a weird example to use, but like if you look at Marvel TV shows, Daredevil on Netflix, the production quality is freaking amazing. The lighting, everything. Then you could look at like they have like these network, superhero shows like on like CW or whatever the fuck the shows are, right? Yeah. And it's like, this doesn't look interesting at all. You know what I mean? But it's like the same sort of material. And I wonder if people really think about that in the context of other forms of art. You know what I mean?
Production value has a lot to do with it. And I think with music, you can hear it in a sense. If you kind of know, if you know what's going on in the background, like there are some albums that when you listen to it, they're just like, it kind of sound expensive in a sense where you're like, oh, I can tell like, and even like hip hop, like, all right, like a great, like Kanye's music to me is a great example of that. Like just high production value music. Even if you're not a fan of him or whatever, when you listen to his albums, they don't sound like something that was just, it might have started off, maybe with him just playing on a computer or a laptop or whatever, but even if you don't know exactly how he made it or what went into it, it's something about it you can tell where it's like, oh, okay, time and money was put into creating all this. Because there's a lot of things that you'll hear in some tracks and stuff where you realize, oh, this wasn't like someone had to this wasn't like a sample, like a a synth or something. Like someone had to go play this. They had to go find a strings player or a little quartet to go do this one part, or find a guitarist to play the solo or something like that. And a lot of times that's stuff that kind of unless you're the kind of person that reads album credits, you don't even think about. You might think, oh, it's just him in the studio making beats, and then he just hops on the mic and raps on it. And it's like, no, like it takes personnel to get this together, and that's part of where production value goes.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's with a movie or a TV show, it's easy to tell that because you can literally see it. But when you're listening to something, unless you kind of have, like I said, unless you have that kind of that background, or you know about it, you listen to like an interview or something, or you might not think about it. And I think that, but you can still tell though, and that's that's what separates the men from the boys, as they say. Like not to say you need a high budget to make great music or anything like that, but that's even like lo-fi music. That's kind of like the antithesis of that. That's like people. It's like that's also a great sound too. It's like I want this to sound like it costs $20 to make, you know?
Yeah.
And that's its own vibe, you know. It's kind of about how you put it together. But
Yep.
it, you know, I think yeah, high production, it's in there, and you gotta put that in there to make a good product.
So, based on all that, right? Like the definition of a producer, you know, evolves and things like that. How do you feel? Because I impulsively resist all AI created art. Now I use AI art for my like the graphics on the Phoenix HipHop page.
Okay.
Just because I just rather not pay someone to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other than that, as far as like appreciating art, I don't know why. I just like if someone's like, "This is AI music," I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, because
So how do you feel about the use of it? I guess as a producer when it comes to instrumentals.
it's like it's just kind of it's like taking the lazy way out. Like it's not to me. It's just not real. Like it's just. You know, I hear people argue for it. We're like, oh, but I was the one who came up with the prompt and, you know, this and that. And it's like, it's literally, it's AI. Like, it's not human. Like, I don't know. It's weird to me. Like, and it's weird. And even, all right, I can even understand some of the art. Like, so I've seen some AI art where, like video art where I'm like, oh, this shit looks like just weird and trippy. I'm like, all right, that's cool. You probably couldn't get that effect in any traditional manner. If you use it like that, I guess, all right, you know, I respect it if it's being used to do something that's very different.
Yeah.
That, like, it's like, okay, I couldn't do this without AI art. But if it's like, you know, like a I don't know, like a landscape painting or something like that. Like, if you're like, oh, I put in this prompt to get this fantasy painting. I'm like, I'm not impressed. Like, as opposed to if you told me, oh, I drew this or I painted this or something like that. Because there are people who can do that without AI, you know.
Yeah,
so it's like if you're doing something with it that literally cannot be done, respect. All right, then you're to me that's art. You're taking it and you're doing something that no one else has seen before, no one else could do. But most people aren't doing that, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, especially when people are using it to like write like resumes and shit like that, like that, it's like, whoa, like I don't know. I'm a big sci-fi fan, so it's like, okay, at what point is this line gonna like get too blurry where it's like you can't even really tell, like, you know, what is like being made by a person, what is AI, you know, and then, you know, you got the algorithms and stuff in there mixed in, and like it's kind of like a mind fuck. Like
you make a great point though, and I never thought about this, where it's like, I agree with you. There's a difference between using AI for a technical aspect, an effect, right, versus like the entire you know, piece of art. And I think that's a very interesting observation. I work for a tech company, and sometimes I have to write things like materials, blogs, whatever. And you know, they're using ChatGPT sometimes, and I'm like, no, I don't. It doesn't sound like me. Like, I think I could write better than this, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I understand people that do want to do it. But yeah, I like how you framed it though, as far as like, it's fine if it's like an effect, but if it's like the whole piece of artwork, it's a little different, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it also depends on what you try and pass it off as, you know. If you're just trying to say, oh, I'm an artist now because I make AI art, you know, I type, it's like, I don't really buy it. But, you know, if you're just doing it for like, you know, like you said, I just don't want to pay somebody to make this graphic. Just plug it in. So to me, that's fine. That's like, all right, you're just using it as a tool. It's more efficient that way.
Yeah.
But it's when it, like, I don't have anything against like artificial intelligence, but it's like AI art. To me, that's where it's like, whoa, like.
Don't ask this motherfucker about Waymo.
Waymo is they freak me out. I don't.
Oh,
like,
the self-driving cars.
Every time I see one, I'm just like, why would you get in one? It just, I don't know. Have you ever ridden in one?
I want to, and so I agree with you to an extent. But here's the thing: the older I get, and the more I understand human beings, the more freaked out I am about being surrounded by all these fucking people looking at their phones, thinking like, are they sick with a cold and their cognition is impaired? Are they going through some emotional breakup, and every time their fucking phone alerts with a text, they're like, I gotta look at this right now? Like, the volatility of human beings scares the shit out of me.
That's very true. I never thought of that aspect of it.
I don't know if you ever been on the 101 and looked around, and how many fucking people are looking down at their phones.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna sound super old now, right? I started driving when I was 15, but now the idea of like 16-year-olds and shit on the road, I'm like, I don't want you driving down the road at the same time as me. I don't trust you, right?
I never thought of that, but no, you're right. Cause yeah, now you gotta like drive with like almost like you're driving with like everybody else, like for everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of thinking, all right, I gotta put myself in position so that if you like swerve in this lane, I can hit my brakes in time. Cause yeah, people are distracted more than ever nowadays.
Yeah.
So all right, when you put it like that, I could see the benefit of self-driving cars, but I don't know. There's just something about like it's just weird to me about like this like semi-sentient vehicle just like cruising the streets at night. It reminds me of like that John Carpenter movie or some shit. Like it's just like if I wake up and see one of these in my driveway, just like menacingly, just like
Yeah.
just post up there, and just drive off. I don't know what I do, but yeah, I don't know. The Waymos, I'm not used to seeing so many in like one place because I've never like at least back home in like Miami they have them like self-driving cars, I think.
Yeah.
But they're not just like I've never seen so many Waymos till I was out here, and people are just like they just pull up and like some guy just hops in and just like, all right, take me away.
2 years ago, I was at a First Friday downtown, and it was like really busy, and there were 3 Waymos at an intersection, and there's a lady pushing a stroller.
Mm-hmm.
There's children walking, and I'm like, wow, I'm just like watching. I'm like, this is very interesting.
Yeah.
And nothing happened, but I was like, that was kind of like a moment for me. I was like, this is crazy. It's actually working.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. When you see more than one of them together, it's like, yo, I wonder if like did they communicate? Like, what are they saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like animals in the wild. Like.
So let me get back to your project. What is your? I mean, if you can't pick one, that's fine. But like, what's your favorite track off of it, and why?
All right, this is one track, Eat It Cold. And I think I just like that because, I really like the beat that I made for it. That's like one of my favorite ones out of that batch. And I don't know, I guess I just like the little sound clip. It's like that. I mean, I don't know the kid's name, but it's a clip of like this kid he's like saying music kind of like the motherfucking like people like they use that a bunch of memes, but like I found the whole video and it's like it's him and this friend arguing about I don't know, he's a psycho. He burnt the sandwich because he I don't know, he had like it was like a ham cheese sandwich or some shit like that. It's just they're just I don't know, it's a fun conversation.
Dude, I love those random samples too. Like when I was a kid, it's funny because last time y'all were here, we talked about Jedi Montrix. But like,
Shut up, Patton Oswalt.
Exactly. Their album Violent by Design has like these movie clips, these fucking obscure movie clips. One was from the movie Pi.
Okay.
I think it's just this weird indie movie.
3. If you graph the numbers of any system, patterns emerge. Therefore, there are patterns everywhere in nature.
Yeah, the black and white, the Dan Aronofsky joint. Yeah.
And as a kid that never saw the movie, I'm like, what the hell is this from? This is crazy.
It's a good movie.
So I've been appreciating. So I guess my point is like, just those like movie clips, especially if I don't know what movie it's from, it just creates like a really interesting, I don't know, instrumental.
And that's what I want. I want like I like to throw in movie clips where I'm like, yo, I know there's gonna be like this one person, like it's gonna kind of be like, oh shit, like I know that movie, like that's where that came from, or someone who's just gonna be like, yo, I'm like, what is this? Where were you getting these these clips from? And that's what I like about it, because like when I'm making something, I know what goes into it, I know where it's from and stuff like that, but I always like to hear, I guess, other people's interpretations of it, or like, I that's what I like more, because it's even listening to it, when I know, okay, this is where this came from, I put this in here for this reason, all that, I have a whole different idea of it than what someone who hears it for the first time might think, and that I want to know what they think.
Yeah,
it's like I already know what I think about it, and a lot of times, so I feel like it's not like, it's almost like a magic trick where it's like once you know how it's done or like what kind of went into it, it might be cool, but it's like, okay, it loses a bit of that mystery to it.
It does, yeah.
I like that's where I'm like, all right, like, nah, you just tell me what you think about it. Like, I'm just gonna throw something in there and like not really explain it.
Yeah.
it's in there because I like that, because I put it in there. But whatever, I want to know what you think about it.
I like when I don't know the reference. And YouTube has kind of changed everything, because So I'm a weirdo about mindfulness. There's this guy named Alan Watts.
Oh,
and,
yeah. I've listened to like a bunch of his books and
the
everything.
first time I heard his samples, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like, he has such an interesting voice and he's saying these like really interesting things. But then I still think he like the shit he says is cool, but now when I hear it, I'm like, I've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
Kendrick, he had a guy named Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle, I don't know how he says it, but again, like he's alive today, but this mindfulness person, and I hear, I'm like, oh yeah, I've actually already heard this before. But if I don't hear, I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's funny that you said that with the. It's funny that you said with the Alan Watts thing, because like I don't know who or why I got put onto him, but I started listening to like a bunch of his audiobooks, and like it was great shit. Like I would definitely recommend anybody who's not listening to Alan Watts go listen to Alan Watts. And yeah, like it's cool. Like hearing the recording of him just like kind of doing it in a lecture is like awesome, because you feel like you're like sitting right there. And then yeah, like and then it's hard to like listen to him and not get into like the mindfulness thing. So you go on YouTube and look at like a mindfulness video, and it's like Alan Watts, and they'll have his music over like some meditation shit.
Yeah.
I'm like like you know,
Binary,
it's like
what is it called? I never had it. Like binary beats.
Yeah, the binaural beats.
Yeah.
They throw Alan Watts on top, and and I'm like, I feel like if I didn't hear like this lecture in full, I'd be like, whoa, like this is mind blowing. But I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I see what you did. Like, you know, it's cool, but like
exactly.
All right.
Yeah, and I never thought about it until talking to you, but like there's something about the mystery of it that is like it's more interesting.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's even like even just me as a producer, like my all-time favorite producer is Madlib. Like when I heard Madvillain, that's what made me like want to start making beats. So even just part of, you know, me kind of getting my ear and shit, like I would try and go find like samples in music, like go on who sampled, and like any songs I hear, I'm like, oh, what is that sample? Where did that come from? And you know, listening to like how they flip it, you know, I mean, I don't really do that so much anymore again, because like I just, you know, it's like I like the to not really know, but you know, when I was kind of learning, trying to get my, you know, build my craft and everything, you realize like, oh, like, you know, sometimes even like some like, you know, like legendary producers like Madlib, J Dilla and shit, it's like, oh, all they did was just take these 4 bars and just loop it, and I'm like, you know, it's like, oh, like okay, you know, and it's like it sounded good when they did it, but at the same time you're like, oh, okay, like there's, you know, it doesn't. It kind of showed me like you don't always have to overthink things. Like not everything is as complicated as you might think, and that kind of helped me as an artist know, okay, like you don't always have to, you know, overthink it or come up with something crazy. It could just be a simple idea that you build on, and it comes out dope because the person who hears it or the people who hear it don't know how you made it per se.
It's
you
true.
know?
It's true. And it's really weird to me because like I, as a person that really appreciates technique and rap, I would rather not know how a beat is made, because to your point, like I don't want to be analyzing like, oh, this was easy. I just want to appreciate what I hear.
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
exactly. And that's why now I don't unless it's something I'm really interested in, like I want to know like, oh, how did they make this? Like you know, like was this a sample? Was this something like original, you know? I like to know in that sense, you know, but it has to like really be something that really piques my curiosity.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just really got to know what's inside. But nowadays, I don't really, it's rare, like I'll hear a song, I'd be like, I need to know what that sample is. Like, you know, I need to know like how they flip this or, you know, that kind of thing. I'm like, nah, I want to appreciate it for what it is, you know?
The one person, and it's not even like an instrumental symbol, it's more just like some like random audio that I always look up, is JPEG Mafia. I don't know if you know his work, but like,
yeah.
he will have the wildest shit in his beats, and I'm like, where is this from? And so I look up these videos, it's like all samples in JPEG Mafia's, you know, this
I've
album.
seen those, yeah.
And like one of them was like from an A&E show about like, it's one, I forget what they're called. It's about addiction or something, you know? And it's just someone just like making this crazy sound.
Bullet on the block with the Glock cops. Make sure I got the straight drop.
It's the dude that when he like they say like he starts crying or whatever, and he's like yeah, that one.
And I'm like, holy shit, like he's sampling his Intervention, that's the name of the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's fucking sampling A&E Intervention for his, like, that's crazy.
That's that shit that's different to me. I'm like, oh, I want to know like what, because that because that even kind of like inspires me. Where I'm like, oh, like we can take this shit further. Like, you can really just kind of sample whatever, flip anything, and like, that's the kind of production where I'm really more interested in, like, how did they make this when it's not just a simple beat. Like when you can listen to it and you're like, okay, you didn't just find like a cool melody or like a cool like jazz loop or something and chop it up. It's like, nah, you were taking crazy shit from here and here and here, so like, yeah, JPEG Mafia, Death Grips, like their production, like that's the shit where I'm like, okay, I really want to know, like, all right, I know this is all Bjork samples, but what you did to them is like is wild. Like I want to see like that process, and and to me it's like I'm curious about it because it's something I feel like I can't do. Like it just, all right, like if I hear a beat and I'm like, oh, this is like a cool, they took like a nice sample and they chopped it up and things like that. Like I'm like, all right, I can do that. So I'm not like super intrigued by it. I like it, I enjoy it, I appreciate it, but I'm not like, oh, how did you do this? Like I need to know. But when I hear some production where it's like, yo, that like I love this, but I just don't have the ear for it. Because even like when I first started making beats, I was really into EDM and like dubstep and shit, and like I would try and
hip hop had a run of EDM influenced beats, and like sometimes it was cool and sometimes like
yeah, and I think that's what I was kind of like. That's when I started making beats because I was like, I was throwing like mad synths and shit into them, like creating like, and it's something I kind of wanted to make like EDM tracks, but I knew what I liked. I listened to it and I would like DJ it and stuff, but I feel like creatively I just didn't have an ear for it. Like I couldn't sit down and just do it. So I was kind of working out like, all right, what do I have an ear for? And then eventually, I realized I'm like, nah, like the sample heavy, music, like that's what I have the ear for. So like that's what I do. So but I still try and throw other elements, just different, different things that like different sounds that I like. Like I tend to like more like glitchy, like warp things, distorted sounds.
Me too.
So
yeah,
I've started to use like put more of that into into the music I make.
I love when I can't predict it, and like again, kind of like JPEG, like I would listen to his albums and I would listen to a song. Like typically, I would listen to a song and then like I won't maybe listen to it for another week or whatever, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't remember this. Yeah. And so for me, it actually extends the longevity of this song sounding new, because there's so much like weird things happening or transitions.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get old as quick.
No,
you know what
no.
I mean?
It's just like like the album him and Danny Brown just did. Like,
oh, it's crazy.
I could just listen to that all day because it's just like it's that crazy mix of like you have like the gospel shit in there, the soul shit, then it's like these weird hyper pop moments, and you're just like, yo, I don't know what's going on, but I like all of this blended together, and it's got like melody is just noisy at some points. It's just like I like that mishmash of everything.
Yeah.
And that's interesting music. It's like almost like there's like texture in it, and I think some artists definitely have like an appreciation for it. Of like, all right, can you layer like different sounds, and some are like more harsh than others, but make them work together. Like like I would say like Travis Scott's music is like that. Like I'm not like a huge Travis Scott fan, but there was I think it was Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight. That album I liked.
Okay.
And I was like listening to it, I'm like, oh, there's like a lot of like texture in this. Like there's a lot of different sounds going on, but they're cohesive. They work together.
Okay.
And I like that in music. It's like if it's not just like if it's not just like a soft song or just like a really loud, harsh song. It's like, someone take a piano and like a crazy distorted electric guitar and throw that in there, and it works, and it just kind of has a different mood to it,
He's like one of those artists like I impulsively reject it when I'm like, nope, this is not for me. But I also was way more snobby back then, and now I try to listen for what can I appreciate. And it was really my girlfriend that would be playing stuff, and like we have this agreement we can't shit on each other's music because it means so much to us. So I'm like, all right, I have to try to like this. What do I like? And that's when I started to get into like a variety of beats, and I started understanding like there are rappers that could be like there's a group called the Underachievers, and they could do some conscious hip hop, but then they could also do some like drill sound or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, it was almost like an entry point. So like I like their conscious rap, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to the whole album. Then it was some like drill sounding like aggressive beats, and I'm like, all right, I kind of like this too.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's spoon fed to me, and then over time I start to appreciate it.
You know what I think is always good to do, like if you're just, like you said, if you're trying to get into music, if you're a DJ, whatever, is just go to like the club and just listen to what they play at the club. Like I do that like on the weekend. I'll just go, just sit, chill at the bar, and like, because what I've noticed, there's some songs that like they don't hit until you've heard them like just super loud, and that energy and everyone's feeling it. You're kind of like, oh, like this shit's actually popping. Like now I get it. If I was listening to it, on my earbuds, just like chilling in the room, it's like, I'm not really feeling this. But
yeah, or the speakers.
Yeah,
because I go to so many live shows, and sometimes something sounds so like on a great sound system, the bass and stuff. I'm like, this sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Then I listen to it like on my phone. I'm like, this isn't what I heard.
It doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Like the context, quality of the equipment, all of that, right?
That it goes, you realize like, okay, this is like what this music is for, because that's even like I didn't like even like trap music, like I when it first kind of came out, I was like, I don't like this shit. Like I was more like I said, I feel like a little snappy. I was like, nah, this ain't it. Like the lyrics aren't there. These beats are like super simple and all that. But then like I started like going out, to like clubs and stuff, and then like when I would hear it there, like like while you're partying or something. Like I remember like Future. I was not a fan of Future when he first came out, and then I remember I heard Turn on the Lights in the club, and then I was like, oh, like that, like this is what it's about, like it. And then like I've just been a fan ever since, because like now it's like, oh, I get it now, like I see what this is about. I think all genres of music have that kind of where I remember I went to a show once with some friends, and there was like a mosh pit, and like being in the pit and like hearing like like punk music and shit like that like playing, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what this is about. Like now I can I understand, like I get it now, and like it kind of affects like how you listen to it from then on, because like, okay, like this is what it's about, so context, like where and how you listen to some music, I think is important in like your appreciation of it.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so Salute is also here. He's off camera.
So I know, gotta
shout out, Salute. Are you before we? So did you come? Did you say like you were rapping over something? One of his.
We got some raps.
Okay, cool. Before we get to that, for folks who are not following you, so two questions. One, how do folks follow you? And then second question is there anything you want? I mean, you have the new album, but anything else you want to sort of plug or mention?
Well, yeah, check out Rarefied Air. We got Docs and Salute here. Definitely check our music out. Oh yeah, so you can follow me. It's DRLAFLOW. That's on Instagram. I don't really use Twitter. Instagram is the one I use. So yeah, Dr. LaFlow on Instagram. This Dr. LaFlow for Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music. I got a shitload of music out, so you'll check that out. You'll definitely find something. Especially Portrait of a Mind on Fire. It's my latest album. Go check that out. And yeah, follow me. I'm always making music, making videos and stuff like that. I'm always creating shit. So yes, if you follow me, you won't be bored.
And shout out all of you here. I probably talked to Unorthodox the most, but like I didn't know until maybe like 3 days ago that Salute and Unorthodox were gonna come up. And sometimes I invite really tight rappers up here and they don't want to rap, and then like I'm like, oh man, that's a bummer. And I've gotten to the point where I almost feel awkward, like I'm pressuring people. So I just like, hey, like a lot of people do this. I'm a fan of it. Like if you want to, it's cool. You don't have to. And you guys are like, hey, like we're gonna come. Like you don't even ask me. You're like, we're gonna come up and rap. I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
Do that for me.
Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate it. Well, cool. Well,
yes.
Thank you for stopping by here.
Thank you for having me.
It was really good to actually I have one more question I forgot to ask you. I'm a big fan of like the competitive nature of hip hop, and rappers are very competitive, but I don't see the same with producers. And I'm just personally curious, is there? I mean, there's definitely not the same level, but is there an aspect of competition between producers?
I think so, because I mean, I know like. Because I did like beat battles and stuff like that, like when I was in Florida, and like that was like it it definitely made, like, I know me personally, I was like, yo, I shit on you, and you, like, you know, it was cool, because, I mean, like, it's cool when you have, like, people come up to you after and be like, yo, you have to do the boy dirty like that. Why'd you play that hot beat, like, first? Like, you know, you could have let him play, like, 2 more tracks, shit like that. And so I think maybe it's not as vocal. Like, I think producers tend to be a bit more introverted, just by nature, maybe. But at least I know me, like, it's like, I don't know if this is necessarily where I feel like I'm in competition with a particular person, but I know I'm very judgmental. Like, if I hear a beat, like, you know, if I'm at like a local show or something, I see a producer playing, you know, whatever, like, I might not go and be like, like, you alright, but yeah, I'll be thinking like, yeah, I could do better, like, you know, or like that, you know. I mean, I feel like you should want to be the best at what it is you do, and I feel like you should have that competition in you. You don't necessarily have to be like flat out, you know, like, you know, just be a dick about it.
Yeah.
You should try and, you know, be the best. Like, why wouldn't you?
And I'm not gonna go on too long of a tangent, but like I quoted KRS-One a few times to people, like, he has I think it's like his Rapper's Delight, like, it's a sample, or like, and he has this line that always is stuck with me, is like, I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm sorry, I lied. I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But KRS-One is not like on Twitter saying, hey, my top 5 is KRS-One, and KRS-One.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, there's a difference between, like, believing in yourself and sort of embodying the nature of hip hop, showing and proving, versus just being a dick, like you said, right?
Exactly. And I think if you truly are confident in what you do, like, you're not going to be a dick about it. Like, you know, you're not going to run around being like, I'm the best, like, you know, pounding your chest, because you won't have to. Like, you know, it's kind of like how you carry yourself. But yeah, I feel like if you're not trying to at least be better than somebody, at least if you're not trying to at least be as better than the person that maybe you admire the most in your craft, then, like, you know, step it up, like you should, like, at least have that goal for yourself. Be like, okay, this is my favorite producer, I want to be better than him, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm so hard on myself for accuracy. I think I said rap. It's not called rap. There's some sort of like he uses this Blondie, like, you know what I'm talking about, that KRS-One song?
Yeah.
Like, step into, like, the lyrics go. But anyways,
Another realm?
Anyways, I hate when I, like, misquote shit, because I do try to be like a hip hop historian, so I just have to say I said the song name wrong. But anyways, I had to get that out there. All right, before do you want to talk about what Salute is gonna rap on, or
what do y'all wanna
Rap on some LaFlow beat.
And actually, you'll have to email it to me as well. So
okay, let me shoot. Actually, I got a USB.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Get it live.
Yes. Are we still live? Are we still rolling?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It's a rarefied moment. Salute. Shout out Dr. LaFlow, you know. I told him, like, I be seeing about it. I be dreaming about it. I be feeling about it, scheming about it. Can't live without it. Can't deal with the pout, niggas be doubting. So I gotta go harder without it. Fall on the falcon, see web after the passing. Watch me surpass them, all of the passes. The critiques, the beef, they hardly reach. Critics gimmicks, they looking for peace. Never could show you niggas how I could, how I would. Had to do this malevolent, show these niggas my intelligence higher than anything you ever seen. I'm ruthless, no easy E. I show you niggas what it needs to be. Get your ass the guillotine, swiftly and smoothly. I do this thing like you never seen. Ant Edwards to the rim, what you niggas ever seen. This is me, I can leave it peaceful, serene in any type of scene that you motherfuckers want. If you really get with me, I can hook you up. But if you motherfuckers the ops, you motherfuckers getting popped in the top. Don't need a vest for this. I can still come at your chest, but it's a blade to your neck. Show respect to the ones. It's a rarefied day, guaranteed that you done if you start fucking with my funds. I'm the top nigga when it came to this rapping, #1. You say you the shit, well that's true. I guess that's what number 2s do. I show you what I do. I'm similar like Kim Jong-un, cause I can't do. You know what that do when them motherfuckers thinking that they coming through. When I hit them with the quick ooze and smooth, I'm a noob through. They can't find me, they can't find a trace. First 48 turns to a whole murder case documentary. Netflix got a display, cause these motherfuckers really couldn't find the base. These motherfuckers couldn't find where I escaped. To to the headquarters like a Bond villain. That was me, certified G. This is NC, repeat. And I do it for the AZ. It was Phoenix, I bring the heat. I'm shooting this bitch like I'm KD. Pass that shit, but y'all niggas could never get a dub like Bill. I'm sorry, that's just trill, that's keeping it real. But I still got that book assassin. I show you how I wrap it up in plastic back in them days when they had it. And we used to listen to Nas in the background. I'm just keeping it trill. I can show you what it is, I can show you how it feels. I can show you how it equates and how it shakes. If you really trying to get your hands dirty in the earthquake, gon' bring another one. Cause I bring tectonic plates, so you know I gotta make it do what it do. I'm like Zeus when I throw this lightning. You motherfuckers thinking that you got it, you trifling. I can let this shit breathe. I still give you ghetto symphonies. Motherfuckers hear their heart breathe. When they hear me, I'm like the boogeyman, say cheese. Cause I see you through the screen, little bitch.